To make a frittata, first preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. It is best if the oven rack is in the upper third position. This will help to prevent the bottom of the frittata from overcooking while the top sets. To start, place the desired amount of eggs into a bowl and whisk well to combine. Next, season the eggs with salt and pepper to taste. Generally, you will need about 1/8 of a teaspoon of kosher salt per egg, but this will also depend on how salty the added ingredients are. At this point, whisk in any cream if desired. When combining the eggs and any desired filling, you can either add the filling directly to the eggs and mix together, or you can pour the beaten eggs into the pan of ingredients as shown here. Either way, just make sure that the appropriate size pan has been preheated over medium-low heat. Low heat should be used so the eggs cook slowly and evenly. If a frittata is cooked over too high of heat, the eggs will set too quickly, cook unevenly, and can potentially dry out and turn brown. When ready, place about a teaspoon or so of fat into the pan. Because the heat is low, you can use either butter and/or oil. Next, pour the eggs and filling into the pan and use a heat-proof rubber spatula to gently agitate the eggs. Move the ingredients from the outside of the pan towards the center like this. Don't let the eggs sit for too long without stirring. Stirring lightens the texture and also helps the eggs to cook more evenly. As the eggs cook, scrape the sides of the pan from time to time. At first, it will seem like it takes a while for the eggs to start cooking, but once they do, they will begin to set much quicker. The goal is to obtain large, soft curds like this, without overcooking the eggs. This is why it is important at this stage to constantly, but gently, keep the eggs moving. The frittata should be cooked only about halfway through before transferring it to the oven. This is still a bit too runny. As you stir, it will thicken even more like this. There should be cooked eggs scattered throughout with wet but no longer runny eggs in between. This is a sign that it is time to stop. You can also see when we jiggle the pan that the frittata is set but still quite loose. If necessary, gently flatten out the surface and give the frittata one last sweep around the pan to tidy up the edge. The easiest method for finishing the frittata is to transfer it to the oven and bake it. Since the bottom of the frittata is in direct contact with the hot pan, more heat is required on the top to finish cooking, which is why it is best cooked on the upper rack. Note: to finish the cooking process, some people like to flip the frittata, but this can be awkward. In this case, the egg should be cooked about 2/3 the way through before flipping. Once flipped, the frittata is returned to the pan to finish cooking on the stovetop. Alternatively, some cooks prefer to place the frittata under the broiler to quickly finish the cooking process. This method just demands a more watchful eye, as the frittata will cook very quickly. The pan will likely need to be rotated as it cooks. This will ensure that the surface browns evenly like this. To test a frittata for doneness, look at the surface. If it looks or feels too wet in the center like this, it is not quite done. Also, when we shake the pan, you can see the center is still quite jiggly. So this will need to be cooked for a few more minutes. Depending on the thickness, baking can take anywhere from 3 to 20 minutes. Now test again. You can see when we shake the pan, it doesn't really jiggle and the eggs are just set. If there is a tiny bit of wetness in the center, don't worry. It will continue to cook from the residual heat of the pan as it sits. Let the frittata cool for a few minutes and allow the steam to subside. This will prevent the frittata from weeping or leaking moisture when cut into. To remove the frittata, run a rubber spatula around the sides and underneath like this. Then slide the frittata onto a plate or cutting board. Cut and serve. Frittatas are great served warm, at room temperature, or even cold. As you have learned, frittatas are simple to make, and because the flavor combinations are endless, they never need to be boring. Whether served for breakfast, lunch, or even dinner, they make for a light or hearty meal.